I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, degenerate sleuths of the night. We gather to boldly go where others have refused. Welcome to the DT show, you salty mofos.
A man accused of killing 4 college students is behind bars, and he has ties to northeastern and central Pennsylvania. State police say 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger was arrested this morning at a home in Chestnut Hill Township.
I can't find any case law that would support that idea. That somehow a warrant would be needed for DNA left at a crime scene.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
So, the Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
So, get your popcorn ready and your choice of drink. Get your butt on your seat. Like, comment, and subscribe for a treat. Here we go. It's time for the show. The Drunk Turkey Show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm Daniel. Today we got a great show for you guys. I have Dr. Vona joining us back on, and we're going to go over some of the text messages and some of the searches that Bryan Kohberger had. Asked the question, what did they mean? What do they mean? We're also going to go into perhaps some Google trend searches and see what was being searched around the time that Bryan Kohberger was in Pullman, Washington before and after the murders. So you don't want to miss it. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Ring that notification bell, guys, if you haven't done so already. And without further ado, let me adjust my camera. Let me get Dr. Jamie Vona on. How's it going, Doctor?
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. We made it. It's Friday.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm doing good. Definitely did need it. Friday is, I was talking to my wife and I was telling her, I was like, this week went by pretty quick for me. But I'm not complaining about that. I'm glad it's the weekend.
Me too, for sure.
Before we get into today's conversation per se, I want to talk about a few things that just recently came up in the trial or the hearing, the pretrial hearing that just occurred. First thing that I wanted to talk about is, well, it seems like Dateline might be in trouble a little bit. I don't know. There was a document that was dropped saying documented records hold order based on sensitive information not previously public, circulated, and reported during a recent Dateline TV program related to this case, the defendant Bryan Kohberger. It appears likely that someone currently or formerly associated with law enforcement or the prosecution team violated this court's non-dissemination order or gag order. And so let me play a little clip real quick. This is from the court. So let's listen in.
In the closed session this morning, I indicated to you I'm going to be entering an order requiring the retention of records by the state, and I'm going to write another one extending that to the defense as it relates to violations of the non-dissemination order. It does require some action on your part, counsel. And as I indicated, I would be open to a request for a appointment of a special prosecutor. and that special prosecutor to ask for magistrate inquiry, so they have the power of subpoena and the power to question witnesses under oath, as well as the power to grant immunity.
Power to grant immunity. I mean, he's going after him. He seems upset. I understand so why. Did you watch the Dateline first and foremost? Did you watch the Dateline?
Of course I did. Yes,
Yeah.
I definitely did.
And
Yes,
what were your first like knee-jerk reactions after watching it? Did you think that there's going to be any issues with a gag order in this? Do you think everything seemed okay? I mean, what were your thoughts when you first saw it?
So, of course, as a therapist, I wanted to hear more type thing. But then after thinking about it, the only thing that scares me about this is a little bit is that part of me is like, okay, I get the sources and stuff. But then if we figure out the sources, like, is that going to make people stop? I know that leaking things is probably different than, I don't know. I was going to ask your opinion on that. Like, where's the line? Like, you were a cop. Like, where would the line be between leaking information and like being a citizen that has the freedom of speech? I guess if you have a gag order. And if you have a gag order,
so
listen to the gag order.
well, right. So let's break down what it is that they were upset about. So they were talking about, let's see, they were including but not limited to surveillance video suspect vehicle 1, the AT&T records for the defendant's cell phone and content of the defendant's cell phone and other electronic devices and social media accounts, including internet search history, photographs, and information associated with the defendant's Amazon account, or any other information referenced in the above mentioned Dateline episode regarding this case. So they're talking about a few things here. Suspect vehicle 1. So they had ring cam footage. Just kind of break this down. I'm fairly positive that Dateline had somebody out there fairly early. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually got that ring cam footage from the source, from the people that owned it, the 1112 King Road, because I'm sure they were out there. And I think they were out there before the gag order. So that's the first thing. The second thing, when it comes to some of this,
real quick with that too, that was last year. So if you look at some of the still photos from last year that were leaked, the one still photo is like, it looks like right before, like you could see the headlights, but you don't see a car or anything. And I remember us all saying back then, like, is this real? Is this real? And it seems that if you look at that still photo and you put it with the footage that came out, that they match up. So I feel like that was already leaked, in my opinion, before, where I think a lot of this other stuff might be newer stuff that was leaked.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely some newer stuff that was leaked. Obviously, the stuff off of his phone. So the stuff off of his phone, like the cell phone pictures and those type of things, they couldn't have gathered those until after his arrest. And after his arrest, that's when they had the gag order. So there's that question. All right, where did they get the pictures from? Now, Dateline has this article, and we're going to break it down here in a little bit, referencing some of his searches. But they mentioned that Kohberger's phone, analyzed by an FBI cell phone expert and obtained by Dateline, suggests that he was in Moscow the day after dark. I think there was something else that mentioned the FBI somewhere else in this document. I was reading it earlier. And I wouldn't be surprised if they had spoken to an FBI agent early on in this. Now, the pictures and his Amazon account, all that had to have been garnished after the fact, don't you think? After his arrest?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But this is the other thing. So if it's coming from Pennsylvania, that wouldn't go under the gag warrant. So like, I don't know, like, who are the people that are giving the information? Where are they located? Like, what part did they play in the case?
That's true. What if the FBI agent who, disclosed some of this information was in a different part of the country? What if they were in Washington State, or if they were in Pennsylvania or in somewhere else, not privy to the gag order? I would assume that if there was somebody who was ever worked on or had privilege to any sensitive material, wouldn't be allowed to disclose it out there just like that. And I understand why the judge is upset. Dateline presented evidence without the ability for Bryan Kohberger to defend it or defend himself to that evidence. I mean, a lot of it, as he mentioned, is probably not going to be used in court. Like, for instance, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to use him watching a Ted Bundy video, and then with that thumbnail, that Ted Bundy video having a hoodie on, and then when the infamous now hoodie picture that's being spread around is taken right after that, perhaps as a memorialization of that moment, or maybe as far as how he sees himself as Ted Bundy at that time. And so I don't know if they can actually use that in trial, because he is a criminology student. He is studying certain things. And, also at the same time, a selfie with dark clothing, as creepy and as suspicious as it is, doesn't necessarily point to somebody committing a quadruple homicide, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. I guess my problem, Daniel. Do I have feedback? Hold on, let me look.
No, you're good.
Oh, I'm good. You guys, I'm good for you guys. So my problem with this is, I just lost my train of thought, Daniel. I thought I was going and just lost my train of thought. I'll come back.
It's fine. It's fine. At the end of the day, when it comes to this special, one of the things that Judge Hippler indicated that was, I guess, frustrating is the possibility this is going to cost the citizens of Latah County a significant amount of more money, because of the fact that they're going to be potentially having to sequester this jury for a longer period of time.
Yes. They're telling me that I'm still acting.
Oh, you know what? You are a little bit, just a little bit.
And that's threw me off. I'll figure it out. Here, you talk for a minute. I'm gonna figure it out.
All right, I'm going to adjust your mic settings on my side.
Oh,
I think I figured it out. All righty. But I'll try some other stuff. So,
Okay.
So the next motion that was just released, and I'm fairly positive a lot of the pro-burger movement are going to, they were looking at this and saying, oh, motion to seal the defendant's offer of proof referencing alternate perpetrators. And well, here comes the motion that says, comes now, Bryan Kohberger hereby moves the court to order to seal the defendant's offer of proof, reference alternate perpetrators. Now, this was filed on May 14th. The hearing was on May 15th, and this is what Judge Hippler had to say about Bryan Kohberger's offer of proof.
The defense's proffer regarding alternate perpetrators.
Here we go.
I want some additional information for the defense to do two things. One, provide me with whatever actual evidence you have supports those allegations. And two, provide for me how it is you believe that what you are offering is admissible. Because it seemed to me much of what you had put in there was fairly, potentially fairly objectionable in terms of admissibility.
All right. So, as I said, no evidence of anything yet. They just have an allegation or an accusation for somebody. And I don't know who that somebody is. What are your thoughts with when Judge said, well, we want to see actual evidence? What immediately went through your mind?
That he's not just going to allow. Let me just pull it out. Can you still hear me? Oh, wait, it's still happening. It wasn't my mic. I'm going to leave this here, you guys. I apologize. I don't know why it's happening, and then I'm going to come back.
Okay.
I apologize.
No problem. I understand. So to me, right off the bat, this just kind of screams out that they have no actual evidence. They have no evidence, the fact that there's somebody else. And the evidence that they do have, obviously there's a question about, is it admissible in court? Well, I mean, I'm assuming it's probably not admissible because it lacks evidence. So Dr. Vona will be back. And in the meantime, in between time, let's close this down. Let me pull up. I remember what the other part was. Let me try to play this real quick and let's see what this was.
Physical object.
All right. I remember now. And I want to wait for Dr. Vona to come back so we can listen to that aspect of it. All right, I'm going to answer some questions and comments in the meantime. We have Sarah Adams as a new member. Thank you, Sarah. We have Stephanie, also a new member. Midwest gifted a one Drunk Turkey Show membership. Justine also gifted a one Drunk Turkey Show membership. Thank you, guys. Sarah Adams asks, Dr. Vona, well, I'm going to bring that one back when she gets back on. Such an interesting show by Salty Sleuth Investigates. Thank you so much. All righty, Doctor. Welcome back.
Hopefully I fixed it. I did. Woohoo.
Yeah, let me adjust things. All right, there you go. But yes, everything does sound a lot better.
Yes, I apologize, you guys. I figured it out.
Sarah Adams asks, does Bryan look high as a kite in his selfies?
That's such a good question, but let me tell you why that's a hard one to answer. It's hard to answer because I don't know what could be, and again, this is alleged, but I don't know what could be coming from a substance or a disorder, if you will. And even with the defense, they say that he's autistic. So even they're saying that there's some disorder. That, yes, he looks absolutely high to me there. But if you look at the other ones, I don't know if that was just a bad shot, but why did he keep that one? He looks high to me there. I don't know. Does he look high to you?
That's the first thing that went through my mind. But what do I know? I've only arrested a lot of people.
Didn't they find a green leafy substance?
But that don't look stoned. I mean,
I'll say.
He's not. He's a very pale guy. So somebody under the influence of marijuana, as pale as he is, I would have assumed he'd have blush cheeks. Some of those features to his face.
It seems like our chat is saying absolutely.
Yeah.
So it seems like almost everybody's saying, yes, he looks high in here. So, you guys, I think that it's important to note that he did have active addiction. He did have an eating disorder at some point. And I think that if you look at that in the sense of, I always teach eating disorders and addiction together because they work very much alike in the brain. So with that being said, I do, in my opinion, feel like these killings are like an extension of that. So it's like after one, he gave up one addiction for the next addiction, for the next addiction. And it's like each one got more and more dangerous, if you will. So first it was an eating disorder, then the drugs, which is dangerous. And then now this behavior, if he's guilty, right? So we do see that progression, which wouldn't be abnormal in that sense. But
now
he does look high.
Yeah, I think he does as well.
You know what else? His pupils look really big because like he has really blue eyes. But when you look at this, and I think, and again, I don't want anybody to come for me with this, but if you look at a lot of the Ted Bundy stuff that we've been watching, a lot of the times there were times like I didn't realize that Ted Bundy's eyes were as light as they were. So I feel like I don't know if it's the pupils getting bigger because obviously your eyes aren't changing color. I mean, I have a doctorate degree, but I'm not like an ophthalmologist. So I'm not sure exactly how that works. But I would say that with I do know that with different substances, your pupils could dilate, and that would make the blue of your eye be less. So I wonder if there's something to that.
There could be. There definitely could be. I don't know. I do know that, like you mentioned, that was said a lot about Bundy, especially when he was getting upset. They said that his eyes turned dark. And so I thought, and the other thing about Bundy that kind of reminds me a little bit about Kohberger is that Bundy looks different in almost every photograph or every video of him. And so the same could be said about Bryan Kohberger. He just looks like a different person in every picture that we've seen of him.
1,000%. And this goes all the way back to from the beginning of the pictures that we found of him. I have not been able to find one where I feel like he looks a different age. Everything from that one picture where he's super skinny to any of them. Like you said, you could pick any of them. They never look the same. I totally agree with that. And again, I think that goes back to a lack of identity and him trying on different identities.
Yeah, unless you're looking up the AI pictures, those all look alike. All the AI pictures.
Everybody in chat seems to think that he might have been on a stimulant because stimulants make your pupils dilate.
Very possible. Very possible. All righty. So let's get into some of the searches that Bryan Kohberger was doing. So we know that on August 21st, he was, according to the documents, he was at the victim's residence within 100 meters of the house. out there for about an hour, and then he leaves and he gets pulled over for speeding and is given a citation for not having a seatbelt. Apparently, and according to documents and according to court rulings and court, not rulings, but trial testimony, Bryan Kohberger was a little bit defensive about handing over his phone number. And that's specific part about it is what the defense was trying to remove and end up getting redacted out of this traffic stop that's going to be used against Bryan Kohberger. My question to you is, it was 5 days later, I believe, he's searching, when can a cop detain you? Like 5 whole days later after getting the citation and having this moment. What does that tell you about what that meant to him in that
tells
moment?
me that he's rigid and that he was obsessing over it. And again, obsessing in a different way, not obsessive compulsive disorder, you guys. Obsessive compulsive disorder is backed or fueled by anxiety. This is different. This is like an obsessive compulsive personality type disorder. So it's not driven by anxiety, but you still have those obsessions. I think that he just kept stewing over it. And again, I know that even for me and maybe you and other people, whenever I don't know about something, when I find out about it, I feel like I'm in more control of the situation or a decision, things like that. But I think he like took it to the next level. So he must have been stewing over it for enough time that he then looks it up because he wants to know. What do you think?
That's exactly it. You know, I thought that it was bothering him so much that he got a citation. I think it bothered him so much that that he was saying something and that the officer didn't believe him. I think he already had an ego trip about the area. He had written in his essay that he wanted to help rural officers with technology and forensic data, basically saying he wanted to help these backwoods, rural cops that don't know anything and, try to help them figure out how a phone works. And so he's got that mentality into him. So this told me this guy was obsessive. He was obsessing over the fact that he didn't win that argument more so than anything else.
Yes, so it wasn't fueled by anxiety. It was fueled by somebody else outsmarting him. If you notice in the other stops that we've seen, he didn't walk away with a ticket, right? I don't know. Do we know if he walked away with a ticket in this one?
He did, with a citation for a seatbelt. And apparently there was some sort of issue where he challenged the officer and maybe even accused the officer of lying about or accused of something about lying, whether it was he accused the officer of lying or he accused the officer of calling him a liar or something of that nature because of the seatbelt.
Oh, and didn't he say that he didn't believe that seatbelts like helped and all? But my thing is, I'm like, okay,
Yes.
but that's great, whatever you think, but that's not the law. But that's an example, you guys, of antisocial personality. Is I know that the law says that I need to wear my seatbelt, but I'm letting you know that you're wrong too. And again, I don't know exactly how he said or whatever, but he let them know that he did not believe, due to his own research and stuff, that it wasn't in his privy that seatbelts are helpful. But again, that's not going to make the cop, just like he said, there's no crosswalks in PA. It seemed like the other cop was a little bit nicer about it. And he even at the end is like, oh, I didn't mean to like question you on the law. Yes, you did. I wonder if some of the questions he was or things he's looking up have anything to do with what the cops said to him during that. Like if they said anything that made him think that so that he could know the law better than them next time.
My assumption is he probably was like, am I free to go? And they were waiting for like a warrant or something. And so he temporarily was detained during that traffic stop until all that stuff went through.
See, you guys, we didn't even talk about this. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, what was it that made him, he must have thought something. So somebody asked if I think he has antisocial personality disorder, 1,000%, and narcissistic personality disorder. But again, this is only my opinion.
Yes, exactly. This is our opinion, guys. The there's a deal there at the bottom. It's a disclaimer saying that these are just our thoughts and theories. All right. So the Dayline brought up Nayoung Ko. Now, Nayoung Ko was a person who worked with Bryan Kohberger, was also a PhD student, a TA student. She also was attracted to Bryan Kohberger, according to the Dateline. And somebody broke into her house. She had a cake that had burnt. Somebody put that cake in the microwave and then went into her restroom and aligned her cosmetics up on her toilet seat. Now, to me, I think that's somebody trying to scare her. What do you think?
Yeah. Not only trying to scare her. This sounds like the story of the person that sets the fire and then runs in with the hose to like put it out.
Right.
So it's like that, like, let me start the fire and then I'm going to be the one that puts the fire out. So that's like exactly what I think was happening here. Let me just say, if this woman is watching, girl, you are too good for him. I heard that, and I've heard this multiple times, that she thought that maybe she wasn't good enough for him. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It was the total other way around. You were too good for him. So if you're watching this, girl, you're too good for him. Not, it wasn't the other way around. You know, but think about this, right? She didn't fit the mold of the
Right.
girls that he wanted, which is why I question, do we have like, you know, we talk about incel and stuff. He clearly showed between her and the other girl with the hiking that he was able to get phone numbers and stuff. So it wasn't where Elliot Rodger would go out and just get mad that nobody talked to him. Bryan, like, he talked to people. He made friends with this girl, right? So, and she liked him. She wanted to have a romantic relationship with him, but he didn't fit. She didn't fit that, you know, American blonde hair, even brown haired girl that he might have been hoping to land. And again, she's beautiful and too good for him, but in my opinion, but again, in his head, I don't think she fit the mold of what he was looking for.
Do you think that was the first time he broke into that house or that apartment?
Her house or the one on King
Her
Road?
apartment. No, her apartment.
Well, yes, only because she said that earlier that day she noticed that the key was missing, and that after she said something to him, that within a few hours the key just happened to miraculously go back in the drawer. So in that case, I would say yes, only because now who knows? I don't know how soon after that this happened. So was it like the next day? Was it a week later? So I guess it would really depend. If it was a week or two later, maybe. But if it was like the next day, then no, I think he got the key made so that he could go in and do this. So, but right. So even with all of that, you guys, could you imagine she then went to his house and slept over because she felt safe with him? If that's not an example of teaching people that, like, somebody with antisocial personality disorder and narcissism, they have the ability to make you feel like you're protected. Like, I'll protect you. Like, yeah, come stay at my place. I'm sure they weren't intimate, so not like that, but she stayed there because she was afraid. So imagine though them finding out all these weeks later that he's the suspect in this crime. I hope she's talking to somebody therapeutically. There's just so many minds with her. It's a sin.
I agree. I definitely agree.
That's what I'm okay. So wait, real quick. Vancouver says, Dr. Stop. No one thinks that she trusted him. How is that possible? Because what do you mean? She went there. He's the
one
one
he was the killer, is what she said. She said, Dr. Stop.
Oh, the killer. I thought you said. No, I didn't say that. I'm saying in hindsight, if he
right,
is.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. I was about to say, I was like, Dr. Vona said that it was in hindsight, like imagine it and looking back.
Right. If he's found guilty, imagine looking back and being like, oh my God.
Now, the act of scaring her, that kind of tells you that this person, in order to indulge in that fear, would have had to have known who she was and known that they were going to come to her, don't you think?
Well, yeah, we call this coercive control.
Right. What I'm saying is, it's probably less likely that somebody's going into a house to scare somebody in that manner that they don't know and that they're not going to understand. They're not going to, unless they're like hiding in the house and they see that. Like if the goal is to scare somebody. So let me put it this way. Like if I wanted to break into a house or an apartment and I wanted to scare somebody, I'm going to want to know how scared they got. I'm going to want to know, everything about that moment. And to me, that's a little bit of a clue as to that it being somebody that she knew, is the fact that the intention, in my opinion, was to scare. And yes, they took some things. I think they took two very valuable things that meant a lot to her that only he knew about. That's the other thing too, right?
Yeah, big time.
So I think that those two things play a role. Now, she was interested in him. I asked Howard Bloom if, because he had spoken with friends of hers, if they had ever been romantic, and he said no, and they weren't romantic that night. What does that tell you about him? I mean, is it because she doesn't fit the mold, or is it because he's incapable? In your opinion only?
I don't think that has to do with being capable. I just think that he didn't see her in that light. I have to fix my mic again.
Okay. Let's see. It sounds fine. Oh, wait. All right. Now I did. There it goes. It's sounding great now. All righty. So that happens with Na Young Ko. What do you think about the intimate items that he kept?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on, Dan.
I got you. I fix it.
We are both hit. I think we have to turn inflation off.
I feel like every time you turn off the echo cancellation, I can hear myself crazy.
When it's myself crazy. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's all right. As long as other people are here, I just other people here. See,
you sound fine. Like they're a little bit behind, so they're hearing the echo from when we were messing with the edit stuff or the microphone.
Oh.
All right, so you sound good to me. So, Na Young Ko, this is happening. The fact that he allegedly took items that were very personable to her, that meant a lot to her, versus anything else. What does that tell you?
That she was vulnerable, and he was using that vulnerability as a means, right? Because think about it wasn't just moving her makeup. She got to a letter of hers. So I feel like that's definitely a very vulnerable position. And I feel like the one that there's bad echoes.
Yeah, there's an echo on your side. Yeah.
I think if we turn that one setting, it'll stop. It stopped last time.
Okay.
Let me just see. And then we'll see what. All right. How about now? Okay, still echo. Wait, let me try this. No.
All right.
How about now?
No. If once you turn off echo cancellation, it makes it really bad. Now try it. Yeah. Right now you sound fine. I turned everything else off, reduced the background and the adjust the mic. So.
All right.
All right. I don't hear it anymore.
I do.
Oh yeah, a little bit at the end there. I'm not sure what's going on with the audio tonight. I apologize, guys.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's not as bad when I cancel out the echo. It's not as bad, but when I can reduce the background noise, and let me adjust your microphone up. All right, try to speak.
Okay. No. Here.
I can hear you.
They're saying oh, you're right. Play, but I think we were going. Should I try to call in like last time?
Yeah. Let's try that.
Let's just do that.
All right.
You guys
Sorry, guys.
You know how to do this.
Yeah. All right. I removed Dr. Vona from here, so she's going to sign in from her phone. So apologize for this, guys. Technical difficulty. StreamYard's acting up, man. StreamYard's always acting up. Use sign language. We'll talk in Braille. Let's see. So to me, I think this is a clear indication of escalation. Going into somebody's house, and then another violation of privacy is putting up those cameras and potentially watching her throughout that entire time. I think that sends a lot. I think that sends a lot about use smoke signals. Keep working. I'm trying. Blaming StreamYard. Yep. To me, I just thought that at the end of the day, there's some escalation going on here. And I think the docuseries or the documentary really goes into play as far as when it became time. Bryan Kohberger, he stopped using his credit card, starts using forensic devices to forensically delete his search history and things of that nature. So yeah. And as far as him being an incel, I don't know. I mean, to me, when he purchased the knife, when he purchased the balaclava mask, when he purchased the backpack, those were all things purchased in Pennsylvania. And what was happening during that time, he was, he was at the height of his life. He was graduating with his master's degree. He was just, recommended for the PhD program and was going to be moving across country. And so, it's not like he was having all these bad problems like he was having at WSU when he was purchasing the knife and things like that. Welcome back. Let's 4124. So what do you think about this search? Can psychopaths behave prosocially? What does prosocially mean?
Okay, so much better, you guys. Now I can concentrate. So prosocial is the opposite of antisocial. Antisocial is psychopathy. So this would be the opposite. So antisocial is against society. So I don't listen to the rules. I don't have to wear my seatbelt because I don't think that they matter. Stuff like that. Prosocial behavior is, how do I help others? So how do I be prosocial? How do I be helpful to other people or in society? It's about society. So he was trying to see, okay, so this is what I'm thinking. If I'm really putting on my psychology hat, I'm thinking that he must, and again, I don't really care if anybody comes for me, let me be honest. So in my opinion, I think that he was, and this isn't abnormal for any of us. Most of us do this, and a lot of us need to not do this. Go on like WebMDs and Googles and this and that and look up different things. So my thing is, I think because of his degrees already, he probably had somewhat of an inkling that he identified with people that have antisocial personality disorder. Now, let me tell you all that you don't necessarily have to turn out to be a killer when you have that. There are people that are very successful business owners that have antisocial. There are therapists that have antisocial personality. So when I say this, it's not even a negative thing. If it's a diagnostic thing, then it's a diagnostic thing. So I think if anything, he might have already seen that he identified as that. And he was just trying to see, like, is there another way? Can somebody, like, is there any hope for somebody like me to even be prosocial? And I would love to see what the search results showed. The answer to it is yes, you can be prosocial if you're antisocial. But I'm curious to see what literature popped up for him. Like, where did he search? Did he search Google? Did he search his university library? Like, that would all matter to me.
Now, why would he be searching this? Do you think he's trying to blend in? Do you think he's trying to figure out himself? Do you think he maybe people are onto him? I mean, he's having some problems at school.
So chances are he already knows a little bit about himself, right? So this could be a way of blending in. So people with psychopathy or antisocial, just so I did see that somebody the last time we hung up, I didn't get a chance to answer this, and I do want to make sure people know this. So antisocial personality disorder is the medical term for what we socially call psychopath or sociopath. So somebody said that they were a forensic psychologist the last time we were in here, and she was right about what she was saying. And I love your subscribers. They literally were like, okay, well, I'm just going to ask Dr. Vona just to make sure. And I was like, I love that. But that was right. So antisocial is the actual medical term. We wouldn't say like you're a psychopath in diagnostic criteria. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that.
Okay. And so maybe I didn't understand. Is he blending in?
Yes. So I think he's doing this to mask. So people with this disorder try to mask your behavior because they want to blend in. So they get to know that if you're at a funeral, for example, I should be sad. If I'm at a wedding, I should appear happy or engaged, like things like that. So, and again, it doesn't mean that they don't feel happy at something, but they learn how to mask and blend in over time. And think about it, he got all the way to the PhD level, and it's not easy to do that. So even at the master's level and stuff, you have to you have to interact with so many different professors and things like that. So he was able to mask enough that he got, Catherine Ransom talked to him, and he got somebody else to recommend him to the program. So like, he did show that he could mask prosocial behaviors. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you broke up a little bit at the end, but that was because of me. It blanked out on my side. I was like, whoa, everything turned black. But that was on me. I hope everybody heard that. But yeah, no, everything does make sense there. Now, is it normal for individuals to be this aware of their illnesses like this if he is a psychopath or sociopath?
That is such a great question. So, insight is really what tells us if a person's able to get better in life. So, any of us, if you have insight, that means that you have the ability to look inward and take other people's criticisms. It doesn't mean that what other people say is true, but you're able to listen to other people's, you know, what they think, stuff like that. Let's say your kids are like, Mom, you've been miserable lately. Like, having insight is being able to reflect and be like, you know what, maybe I have been a little bit on edge, and then being able to change that behavior. Bryan has some of the most insight, and I'm giving him like this credit for this. Like, if you look at his TAPA talks when he's 15, he talks about depersonalization. I have a doctorate degree, and I don't ever remember talking like that at 15 years old. So he has that intellect and insight. It's now just that he has that insight. You then go on to his rap song and he talks about being that he tells us he has zero emotion. He sees other people as objects. He says as meat, but that's pretty much as objects. That's what he's saying. So on and so forth. So I feel like he had so much insight. I feel like he did understand, and maybe getting a degree in psychology helped validate those things for him. And who knows, maybe getting a degree in criminal justice furthered that by further helped him understand. And think about it. If you identify with that, then you could go far with that, because you would be talking from experience in some sense, even if you haven't committed a crime.
Do you think that maybe a part of him wanted to be a psychopath, and maybe not so much it was an insight as much as a want to be?
No, not at all. I don't think that, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think so. I think so with personality disorders, they're different than the rest of the disorders because they start at birth and continue throughout life. So nobody ever deviates from who they are. So for example, if you just got anxiety out of nowhere and like you've never had anxiety before, you would deviate from what you're used to. So it has to interfere with daily functioning. For him, it did interfere with daily functioning. It interfered as far as drug use and eating disorders. So things like that. He wasn't able to finish school in the classroom. He had to finish online in high school. So it did interfere with his daily functioning. I think the reason he was so confused was because he wasn't deviating from anything, which tells me even more so that it's a personality thing, because it was just always that way. And that's why it's hard to diagnose these disorders, because the person never deviates from who they've always been. So if I were to tell you, oh, Daniel, like, you know, the truth is you have a personality disorder, you might turn around and be like, F you have a personality disorder. Because to you, you're like, I've always been this way. Like, what are you talking about? Not realizing that that's what a personality disorder is. And I just think at some point he probably made the connection.
I mean, he was talking about it at a very young age. You know, I was just thinking to myself, I mean, if his mom talked a lot about Bundy, she wrote about Bundy. I find it odd that even his sister has some weird posts out there as well, including something about Bundy at one point as well. But you know, maybe perhaps he started to manifest these things because he wanted to be what maybe he was hearing a lot of.
Maybe. And like I was saying to you last night, like it could just be that like the sisters, the mom, they were into this stuff, and it could have been on in the background and caught his interest. And who knows, maybe by watching some of these things, he might have for the first time been like, oh my gosh, like I didn't feel this way either, or I felt like that too. So in some sense, it could have felt good to him because he finally might have felt like, and not just Bundy, just anybody with antisocial that he could have been watching, he might have just been like, oh wow, like they also thought that, you know, they also see people as objects type thing, not just me. So it's almost like finding an identity by identifying with others that think like you.
Yeah.
Hence his whole thing with the with his survey.
What do you think about the phone calls to dad in the morning? He's calling at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's 9 o'clock parents' time. To me, it's a sort of a like, I'm proud of myself. I did something, even though I can't talk about it. I got to talk to somebody type of thing. What do you think?
So one, do we know if it was dad or mom? Because they're under the same plan. So that would be my first question. Who was he talking to? Because that
It
would
alluded dad.
They did allude dad?
It alluded to dad. Yeah. He said father. It did say that there was other people, but then it said that a father for 37 minutes and a 54-minute conversation with dad also.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there was one
dad,
that may have been with mom.
If it was dad, then yes, I do think that. Because so dad being his same, the gender that he identifies with, the same gender parent as him, that would almost be like you said, like, I might not be able to tell you now, but if dad's like, oh, how's everything going? He might really be able to be authentic and saying like, it's going great, like as if that's how he's feeling, even though that's not obviously the reality, but to him. So I don't know. I would love to know what they talked about that morning. And I would also love to know, did he usually call his parents that early? Because it was pretty early in the morning. And if my daughter called me from college at like 6 a.m., that would actually scare
Well, it was
me.
9 o'clock in Pennsylvania. It was 6 a.m. in Idaho.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I got you. Yeah, but
Yeah,
still,
so
isn't that still
it's
early? I would still know that it was 6 o'clock their time. So I would still so even if it was 9 for me, I might be like, why is my daughter calling me at 6 a.m.? I don't know. So I would just be curious, like, was that normal? Because if that was normal and they always talk on Monday mornings at 6, or, at that time, then no, then absolutely. Maybe he was just sticking to his routine. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
if it's abnormal and it's not something he usually did, then I think there's something more to it.
yeah, there definitely could be. Transitioning away a little bit, and then we're going to transition back into his searches to a certain extent, into a different area of his searches. But I wanted to get your opinion on this because a lot of people have been asking about this. But let me play this clip from the hearing, and then we'll talk about it.
Physical object exhibits, work with the marshals on getting them in the courthouse. So, for example, if it's something that's going to raise alarms at the security line, such as, I don't know, a knife, make sure you've got the aid of security in advance to get through that. The TCA can direct you to the Marshal Service and who to talk to there. We tend to use for dangerous items like guns and knives, a display box that the item would then be locked in. I don't think there are any guns in this case, so I'm not as worried about that in terms of those being pointed at anyone by accident. But in terms of the knife, we'll probably be in a display case.
Now, I wish I would have continued to go on a little bit further, because right here, when he says the knife in the display case, the new special prosecutor and the other prosecutor here begin to look at each other and kind of give each other a little smile, a little bit of laugh, and talk to each other.
He actually looked shocked. Looked shocked. If you guys go back and watch, he looked shocked. And then he kind of looks at her like, what the heck? And their eyes get big, which I've been dying to ask you this whole time. I'm like, don't interrupt them. Don't interrupt. I've been dying to ask, do you think that they have the knife?
All right. So I don't know.
Like, I feel like the judge accidentally
know.
said something that he didn't mean to or something.
Possibly. I do know that there was a rumor going around not too long ago, because there was a document that was released, and it was referencing DNA found on a K-bar knife. And that's all it said. It said DNA found on a K-bar knife. And some people were like, oh my God, they found the knife. They found the knife. I reached out to Steve, and Steve reached out to the prosecutor and asked him if they had the knife. And at that time, the answer was no. So that was the answer then. No knife. But that was a while ago. I don't know if they've done some more searching, they've found it or not. I don't know. And I don't know if that's something we would know about.
No, I don't either.
110% honest.
But they've also got all of his where he was located. Like, remember when he was like, he went the long way home and stuff. Who knows? We don't know. Maybe they had search teams go out. I actually thought it was almost like malpractice not to have search teams go out, even if they didn't find anything, just to say that they went where they saw in the route that his car was going, just to see. So who knows if they found something. But I would think, my only thing is, I would think that if anything was to get leaked, that would be the thing that got leaked. Like, if they had something that big, I would feel like that would be hard to keep secret. But then on the other hand, I feel like, why did the prosecutors look at each other like, what the heck did he just say? If it wasn't something bigger than just a knife. And why are they showing the knife at his house if it doesn't mean anything? Because then what's the relevance?
Well, they collected a knife, and I'm not entirely sure they were aware at that time, Pennsylvania, that is, of the information of what they were looking for outside of a knife. So they would have collected one if they would have found one. There's a good chance it was probably a different type of knife. But I know for a fact that at the point in which that document was dropped, where it said K-bar knife, DNA on a K-bar knife, that the word sheath was forgotten, that it should have said K-bar knife sheath. And that was the mistake there. I don't know now. I asked and I haven't gotten an answer yet. So,
well, I thought it was weird that it was number 1 on the list. It was literally the very first thing. It says a knife. I'm like, okay, so it doesn't really give a description. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, if it was like a hunting, like a certain type of knife, like let's say it was a K-bar knife, and they knew that by looking at it, wouldn't they have written in the thing K-bar knife? So my thing is, was it cryptic that they just wrote a knife? But then, like you're saying, that you got the answer no, that it wasn't connected. But my thing is, can you just bring up a knife into trial if it's like, wouldn't it have to be relevant?
I mean,
like,
yes, no, say, but they don't know it's relevant at that point. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so
I'm
they're going to collect
at trial. Like he's saying at trial that this
well,
is how we're going to display the knife.
Right. So they can have a demonstrous item or a replica knife to show the jury, this is the knife that we believe he used. This is why we believe that the injuries have the injuries that they have. And this can explain that. So they can bring in a replica knife. So that's a very possibility. But don't you think the judge would have said replica knife?
That's what I'm saying.
Or demonstrous knife?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm thinking to like, yes, demonstrative K-bar or something like that. Like that's why I'm thinking like that's crazy. But I wasn't even thinking like to show them a replica so that they could see what the knife looked like or how big it was. I guess I wasn't thinking that, so that obviously could be it too. But again, they call it a demonstrative house, or not dollhouse. Let me take that back. A demonstrative model. So why wouldn't they say a demonstrative K-bar or a demonstrative knife?
Right, exactly. And he said it multiple times. It was like, I mean, it wasn't just once. Now I'm gonna say, based on the information I know, I'm gonna say no at this point, but with the possibility, because they've been searching that thing, you know, whether it's the Snake River, whether it's some of these wooded areas between Moscow and Pullman that they believe where his phone was off. Some mountains in Montana, I believe they have searched. Some other places they have looked into. And so, and there are some places that I'm not aware, that I've heard they looked into. I've been told that they've looked into a couple of places. I don't know what those places are, but I know that they've searched several different places for the knife. So I know that there has been a search. I'm assuming if the knife hasn't been found, that search is probably still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I agree. And a lot of people are saying, what if he have gotten rid of the knife, like thrown it in like a lake or something? This is my thing, you guys. You have to remember, they're not thinking like you and me. They're thinking in a different, like, so whoever did this is thinking differently. So a lot of the times that knife is like the one thing that can really make him relive that experience again at a later date. Let's say he didn't get caught. He knows. It's almost like, I know more than you. I'm smarter than you. So even if you do get caught, it's like you still don't know where the knife is. I do. So it's almost like a way of like staying elevated or in control of that information. So I don't think he would have just thrown it away in a river.
Well, I mean, maybe.
I think he
I
buried
don't know.
it. In my opinion.
You think he buried it like Israel Keys?
I think he buried it.
It's quite possible. It's possible.
Power and control.
Find it.
Exactly it.
All right. So let's pull this back up real quick. If this is something that Ann Taylor is unaware of, or any of these guys, let's see if there's any reaction from anybody. Let's hear it one more time, and let's see if there's any reaction.
Object exhibits, work with the marshals on getting them in the courthouse. So, for example, if it's something that's going to raise alarms at the security line, such as, I don't know, a knife. Make sure you've got the aid of security in advance to get through that.
Everybody on his team is
The
looking
TCA
down
can
except for
direct you
him.
to
Well,
the,
now and Taylor looked up at.
Marshal
I'm not
Service,
surprised by it.
and who to talk to there. We tend to use for dangerous items like guns and knives, a display box that the item would then be locked.
And Taylor looked at her every time he
I
said
don't think
knife.
there are any
Actually,
guns in this case, so I'm not as worried about that in terms of those being pointed at anyone by accident. But in terms of the knife, will probably be in a display case.
and Taylor does a look up every time he says the word knife. She's like, and so I don't know. I don't know. It don't sound like they're surprised by it, by the whatever it is that they're saying. So seems like they're aware of the knife. Now, we were told about this monstrous dollhouse or model house. I shouldn't even call it dollhouse either. Wouldn't we be told of a? I don't know, Chloe. I'm asking you this because I know you're the expert on this. But if they were using a knife, wouldn't that be in some sort of document? You know, a demonstrous knife. Wouldn't that be entered into evidence like the dollhouse? You know, or why would it be sealed either? Like, because the only thing I can think of is we haven't seen this, so it must have been entered under seal. Why would a demonstrous item be entered under seal? So, just some questions I'm thinking.
100%.
You know, just some questions I'm thinking. Because I mean, the gag order, and I get it, but the gag order, what does a gag order have to do with a replica?
Exactly.
Right, and they're using a model house, and they had to enter in a file for the model house, and the model house is demonstrous. They had to enter it in. Now I know there was an objection behind it, so maybe that's why there was such a hoopla about it. But wouldn't we see something entered into some sort of document that they're going to be using a replica? Just my thought on it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All righty. So Club comes in saying the only reason we knew about the dollhouse was because it was a state anticipated the defense was going to object, so it filed a motion. We don't know about the knife as okay. So good. That's what I was waiting for. Our expert here.
The village.
There are no valid objections with that going to win that, in my opinion. So if this was a demonstrous exhibit for the knife, then there shouldn't be an exhibit for that. And it sounds like they knew about it. All right. So a couple things I wanted to ask you before we get into the Google Trend searches. It says here that Bryan Kohberger asked the officer when he was getting arrested, states here, he asked the officer about his education and suggested they get coffee at a later date. This guy studied a lot of serial killers, and coffee, I think, was something that Ed Kemper had mentioned or had done with officers. I could have swore there was another serial offender that made a statement like this, but he made a statement also, did anybody else get arrested, which is another claim that another serial offender had made or had said. I think Gacy was the one who said that when he was arrested. You know, his alibi, Walleye Park, Joyce LePage's body was found there. We did the Google Trend search, and we found out that somebody in Washington was searching up Joyce LePage while Bryan Kohberger was in Washington.
That's right.
What do you think about that statement that he asked an officers about his education and suggested they drink coffee at a later date?
That I'm smarter than you. I didn't do this. Wait till I show you and get away with this, and then I'll go buy you a coffee.
Yeah, that's pretty arrogant.
Oh yeah.
Pretty arrogant. All righty. Well, all in all, I think that in the end, I know some people are saying that this might have some sort of effect on the death penalty because they've, put out some information out there before they should have. I don't think so. I don't know how much of this information was going to be used in court outside of suspect vehicle 1. And even at that, what was described or what we heard from the audio of that video from suspect vehicle 1 was described in the PCA. And so it's not really violating anything we didn't know. The pictures and the searches, on the other hand, big story. What which brings me up to our next question, or our next topic of today, which are the searches. And you were able to figure out Google Trends to a certain extent, or a lot better of extent to me. I figured it out to a certain extent. What did you search and what did you find?
Okay, so I searched so much, you guys. I found that somebody was looking up the. I'm echoing. Do you hear me echoing again?
A little bit. Let me look at your mic settings.
I'm not going to touch anything.
All right. You sound all right. Okay, so you were looking up.
I was looking up different terms. Oh yeah, it's a little better. So I looked up 1122 King Road. I looked up 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. I looked up every one of their names. I looked up his name. You guys, he was looking at this house back in August. We have the receipts. I sent you a bunch of them. If I was on my computer, I'd pull them up. But we have receipts, you guys. Maybe we could. I don't know if you have them.
Yeah,
from
I
the
do.
ones I sent you.
Yeah.
Just to show them what it looks like.
Yeah. Let me pull that up. I got to download them and then send
Okay,
them.
so I'll tell them why you're doing that. So you guys, he was down. I mean, somebody, not him, but somebody. So you could even go and look to see what state the person was Googling it from. So it was in Washington. So it wasn't like somebody in Florida was like Googling, to see, oh, maybe I'm going to go to that school and,
It doesn't allow me to search the state. I was trying to do that earlier.
Oh, because you have to put the terms in first.
Okay, so let's try this. Let's put in the terms. So
11, put in 1122 King Road.
All right, and search term.
And then you're gonna go to the dates.
Okay. Then we go to custom range.
Yep.
And let's just put in the time that Bryan Kohberger was in Pullman, Washington.
I think I put August 1st to 11/12.
Yeah, well, he got there June 26. And let's just put to the murder date. Because he wouldn't be searching.
No, you're right. But remember, all right, you guys, there's a trick. So if for some reason we put this in and it comes back with nothing, narrow your search, your dates. It's a trick. Not a trick. It's just.
All right. So no interest over time, but I think it's because I need to get closer than just the United States.
Start typing in Washington.
Don't let me type in Washington.
No, when you go to hit United States. Oh, there. Well, when was that date over there? You got to hit.
All right. Okay.
Oh, where'd it go? You guys, this is Google Trends, and it's so much fun. You could look up so much stuff. But I used the stuff that they said in Dateline that he looked up, and I looked it up myself at that time, and it was coming right from, it not only tells you Idaho and Washington, one of the things that I sent you says from Pullman, Washington. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if that wasn't him, I mean, it's still a coincidence. Who knows if it was him, but the coincidence is just crazy. Oh,
that's crazy. So this is Queen Road. If I put Queen Road, because when you drive through there, it's the intersection of King and Queen. So Queen Road in Washington, and around that time on September 4th, 122 King Road was searched. Or Queen Road, I'm sorry. I think I
found it all the way back to August.
Let me try King Road. Nothing.
I wonder if I could share the pics from my phone. I don't think I can. I had them already.
Yeah, because I was looking at them. I have them too. I can mail them to myself real quick.
I was going to say, mail them to yourself, because if you pull them up, I already did. Because it literally, you guys, if you don't get a hit, don't give up. That doesn't mean that there's nothing there. you have to go back and like alter the dates, go back. Sometimes like if there's an O near an H or something, like misspell it by accident too, or put in RD for road and then, or put ROAD. Like you have to just go in and have patience. And I got hit after hit after hit. It took me all night to do it, but I got it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Oops.
I told Daniel, I was like, you and my husband better never cheat on your wives because I am a detective. I will come for you both.
All right, I'm almost. I'm just downloading these real quick.
Wait till you guys see this. It's crazy. Especially because whoever Papa Roger was shared about Google Trends, and I did not know that.
The only thing about Papa Rogers that really, really makes me go, I don't think it's him, is the times that Papa Rogers was online.
Okay,
it was
so if you
all during
look
like regular hours. I think the latest was like at 9 o'clock. And Bryan Kohberger's searches were all over the place at midnight, at 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 in the morning and stuff like that.
so, but if he wanted to be the smartest person in the room and explain to people or come back, like go back and forth with people, he would have to do it during the times that other people are online.
Yeah. So here on this one, you say this is for just the state of Washington. Is that correct?
Let me zoom in and I can tell you. It should say it right on there. It says the date, and then if you look, do you see on the little card right there? It says the actual date. See where the line is, and it has like the So it's August 23rd. And to the left, it should tell you it was King Road, and I believe that one was in Washington.
Okay.
I'm looking at it on my phone. I must have like zoomed in.
And then November 5th as well.
And there's one in blue and one in red. So the one in blue says 1122 King Road. It's just spelled different, the two things. So you'll see at some point, like the ones in blue are when it was searched that way. And the ones in red, you could do multiple. You guys, you could do like 6 at a time to see. Wait till you see. Go have fun tonight, all of you. You're going to see. Like just looking up different things. And again, it could tell you where the person's looking it up from. So that's what made me think that I was onto something, because it was coming from Washington and Idaho, Pullman and Moscow specifically.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting that, these searches are coming up then August 30th, 2022 as well.
And when did he go to school?
Pennsylvania. No, that's Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, I did.
How would somebody be searching that address in Pennsylvania on that date?
So that made me wonder.
VPN?
Yep. That's exactly that.
Yeah, I've seen this. I'm checking out what some folks have been sending me. Okay.
Courtney's going to get her detective on.
All right. And this is
same thing.
I don't know where this is from, but yeah, I mean,
no, that's the same one. So that's just looking at a bigger date. And if you look at the two little bumps, it's before the murder.
Oh yeah. And you can see that afterwards, everybody was just kind of Google searching the crap out of this.
Yes.
Interesting. This is probably the most eye-opening one. That's crazy. 11 times.
Yep. I'm glad I showed you this one so you could see what it looks like when a bunch of people are searching, as opposed to so that people could see like, oh, well, what are the possibilities? And it clearly shows you that there was volume after.
Yeah, definitely. So somebody in Washington was clearly doing this searching.
There was one picture I showed you the other night. I literally pegged it all the way back to Pullman. And remember, I asked you on the thing, I was like, wait, is that where this is? It was like, it showed you it on the state lines. And I looked it up further and it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you showing me that. That was definitely Pullman. Yes.
Yes, it was.
I got to figure out how to get there on this because, well, this is Washington by Metro City.
Oh, yeah, you guys, that's the other thing. Play around with all the things. Like you could go to Metro City. There's a difference between trend and search terms. So as you add things on the side with the blue, it makes it all different colors so that when you search it, you're searching it all together.
I don't know if I'm doing something wrong because, like, maybe I'm writing it
No,
wrong.
you know what it is?
I was seeing some things earlier when I was looking at things, just random searches. No, I'm just going to put a random search.
I was like, Daniel, I was mad because Daniel was onto it. I was like, are you serious? He's like, oh, wait a minute. I know. He's like, I had to change the dates. I was like, you're already onto it, Daniel.
Yeah.
It usually takes more detective work than that. What's that one you just searched?
Yeah, that's the Steelers.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, worldwide. Papa Roger wasn't searched. Well, let me break it down a little bit closer. So let's go with custom time range. We'll go with from August. Let's go to September 30th.
While you're doing that, the other thing I remember, if you look up 11-13 to 11-13, like just on that day, and you put in, because in Dateline they said that he searched Idaho, I think it was Moscow, Idaho homicides. It comes up.
Yeah.
So how would somebody have known already? Maybe it was the 12th, not the 13th. It was like the day before or something.
Why would you be searching the day before?
Or the day of. That's what I mean. It was like before people would know. So I don't know if it was the 12th or the 13th, but if you put in.
Well, can you put a specific time range? Because I'm sure like by around like 2 or 3 o'clock on the 13th, it was being searched like crazy.
It wasn't.
Huh.
There were other things being searched, like university, murder, stuff like that. But the thing that they said on Dateline, I was able to see, and it's a small little like part, like it's one thing. It's not like
on Dateline. It said that he searched University of Idaho murders for the first time on November 16th.
Yes, and then I put in University of Idaho murders, and then on the plus I put in University of Idaho homicide, and I found it.
Let's see. I'm just thinking because I'm sure somebody at some point heard about this on that day. Let's see. Sorry, I can't type fast.
No, I don't either. You're good.
No. It's because of my arm injury.
I just can't type that.
I lost the ability to move my hand, my left hand.
At least you have an excuse.
Well.
And nothing came up. So just put in Idaho homicides. Try or switch out the word to homicide instead of murder.
None. I'm telling you, something's wrong here because I was finding a lot of other searches with these dates. I think I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, well, I could do a little tutorial and I'll like tag us both to it. So in case anybody wants to know how to play around with it later.
Yeah.
That's another thing. So over here, you guys, when these things pop up, there's a little on the right-hand side, a little thing will pop up and it'll say trending. Switch that over to the most popular at that time and you'll get more hits. Let me see something else you could put in. What if you just put in Idaho homicide and not University of? That's the other problem. You have to get the search thing exactly right. Try United States because it might have come up in Idaho. You have it in Washington.
Well, now it's showing me so many different things. Man, where the heck is it?
It won't go if you start typing EU.
Nothing. And so this tells me that there's something definitely wrong with my system. Yeah, and there's definitely something wrong with mine. I have no idea why it's acting up.
Hold on, I'm gonna just look at time real quick just to see because I knew.
Let me change it for the next day, and if it still shows up as nothing, then I know that there's something wrong.
I'm seeing the words I used real quick.
It says 18 searches, which I doubt.
Oh no, that's
and then it says 100. I don't know what this 18 and 100 mean, to be honest with you guys.
All right, I looked it up. So it's the percentage of hits. So it's not how many hits. Okay. I'm about to send you one right now. That's crazy. I'm echoing, but I just sent you a really good one.
All right.
Oh, that's what's up.
Try Idaho 4 murders because that's what always been dubbed as the media. That's true. Let me see what you got here. So yeah, November 14th, the victims searched. See, I don't know why, but yours is just doing way more than what mine is doing. Mine don't show anything like that.
Honestly, part of it is because I did it over like 20 hours.
See, I mean, come on now. That didn't pop up. That's not true. Yeah. See, this was the issue that I was having, and I was able to figure it out. You know what? Let me try it over here on this. I'm going to pull it up over here because this is a different browser.
Okay.
Let me see if my browser makes a difference. I'm using a different one. Let me put this over here.
So somebody asked if I could share what we're using with Google Trends.
I hate the fact that I got to go through here like this. It doesn't let me just like click into data. I have to scroll back 3 years.
No, I think I'll put it in here.
Well, I'm a dinosaur. I have to scroll back 3 years.
You're funny.
Nah, didn't show up. I was hoping it would. Okay, and let's just go with all right, search term. Oh, I spelled that wrong. But there it is. Maybe that's why. Somebody spelled it wrong on August 7th.
Okay.
I think it was my browser. All right, so let me spell it right. Let's see if that comes up anything. And this is out of Washington. Somebody was searching her in Washington. Nothing with the correct spelling.
I got a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to see.
Yeah, nah. Still showing up nothing as far as King Road, the address, even on this browser.
Put in Moscow, Idaho.
All right. You know, you're probably right.
I'm echoing.
Web search, new search, Google Shops. Yeah, web search. So, yeah. Interesting stuff, though. I mean, the images that you had sent.
Washington. I bet if you put it on United States. Here you go.
August 23rd. But yeah, I mean, that's weird though. Why would somebody not? Well, let's see if it's Idaho that searched it.
You should be able to scroll down and see.
Nope, it was not. It was not Idaho. Subregion doesn't tell me anything.
Oh, okay.
My gosh. Yeah.
I'll do like a tutorial on it, and we could both post it to our sites.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Because this was interesting before, but I would definitely need you to share your screen to get it going right. Because I'm not the one. I'm not the one that does. Yeah, even at that. So let's just see. I'm just curious if Papa Rogers.
You had me look up Joyce LePage, and that came up.
Joyce LePage came up. Yep. Let's go 13th, and let's go in. Bryan Kohberger was arrested. Well, you know what? He moved on the 16th, 13th. That's when he left. Now, let me try Pennsylvania. Because he was back home by then. Yeah. Nothing. So at least he wasn't searching Papa Rogers.
Just so you know, when I have, oh my God, there's so many of them. I'm trying to think of any good ones. On August 28th, somebody from Washington was searching Madison. Oh, this is the one that has the pulp. I'm sending for this.
December 24th in Pennsylvania. But after the murders, a lot of people all over the place were probably searching. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this is the one I just sent you, and you were.
Yeah, let me see.
And it shows Moscow and Poland.
I'm gonna try one more thing because I saw in here to check the. Why is it now? It's acting all stupid.
Oh, what's that?
That's in the last 90 days. It was acting stupid. Like I tried to put in a custom rating and it was going all over the place. All right.
Someone made a good point. It was Roger, not Rogers.
No, it's RODGER.
Right. Did we?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. And when was the pool party? They said July 9th, right?
Yeah.
It's July 9th, and then let's go to.
No. Oh yeah, July. Yeah.
Let's go to the date of the murders. Now that I have the name spelled correctly myself, or at least with the capitalizations aspect. Day before. Nothing. Nothing. Not a thing.
Okay, so this is what I say we do, since we're getting an echo too. I'll hang up and I'll watch the rest of whatever you say on the side, and we'll figure this out before we go live together again. And then you guys, if anybody's bored after Daniel, come to my channel and echo, because we won't be on together, and I will give a little tutorial, and I'll tape it for anybody who can't get in there.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys.
All right.
I'm sorry about the audio. I don't know what happened, but Daniel and I will fix it for next time.
Yes. All righty. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Dr. Vona.
Thank you, everybody. And hopefully I'll see you all after, including Daniel. Maybe we can figure it out, but that way I can show people how to do it.
Yes. All righty. Well, thank you so much. You have a great one.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Dr. Vona, make sure you guys go follow her. Her channel is in the description. So yeah, I know she had showed up and showed me some pictures. I apologize, guys. I'm not the Google Trend search guy. If you guys figure out how to use it and do it, please send it my way. Send me those pictures. But yeah, there is a Washington State and a Washington, D.C. This is Washington State. I was looking it up earlier, and I had found these things on my own, which is why it's frustrating right now that I can't find it, because I was able to find it earlier when I was doing it. Unless something strange and goofy happened in between then. Let's see. Moscow homicides. Yeah. Yeah. She had sent me a couple more things. Yeah. But it ain't working on my side. But yeah, thank you guys. I'm going to end up calling it a show, guys. Please hit the like button, subscribe. I want to tell you guys that on Monday, I have Andrew Garrett from Andrew Garrett Discoveries. He has come out on Forensic Frenzy's channel not too long ago, talking about his program, Shadow Dragon, and how they may have found a connection between Bryan Kohberger and the victims. We're going to ask him a bunch of questions about possible connections and things of that nature. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe. He's going to be on. It'll be, I believe it's 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and it'll be about 8 a.m. in the morning on the West Coast. And so if you guys want to check that out, highly recommend it. It's going to be a great interview. And then Tuesday night, we have Jennifer Coffindaffer, former retired special FBI agent, on the channel. We're going to talk about the Dateline and everything else that's come out since then. You guys don't want to miss it. I apologize for the technical difficulties of today's show. I'm going to go back and edit it so that way we can, for the replay crew, they don't have to deal with all that too. So until Monday, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, y'all.